Let's get started. We will talk about the Gutenberg editor today. It's a React-based editor, and it's for providing world-class user experience. We actually had a session about Drupal Gutenberg in the DrupalCamp Poland also last year. It's great to be back. I wish I actually could be back. I'm currently located in Norway, but it would be great to be there and see you all. But let's get this show started. My name is Thor Andre Gretland. I work as Chief Commercial Officer in FrontCom, and I'm also the leader of the Drupal Association in Norway. And with me, I have you, Paweł.
Hey, I'm Paweł, and I'm the developer, and I've been working with Gutenberg in Drupal, and I'm very happy I can share you with my experience.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
So, a couple of words about FrontCom. We are an innovation-oriented company. We are a digital open source focused agency, and we have offices located in Norway, Portugal, and Poland. Also a small office in Germany. We're about 70 people, all loving Drupal. So our vision is to let Drupal be the most user-friendly enterprise CMS out there. We really believe that Drupal should be easy to use, also for newcomers. This is why we have started some work related to Gutenberg. So what is it anyway? We'll start by giving a short introduction on that, and then we'll go deeper later. So let me show you a short demo of how to work with an article in Gutenberg. So I start by creating a new piece of content. You can see that Gutenberg is rather white. I can start type here. It doesn't seem to be very field-based, but you can see some familiar areas in the right column here with some options. I set a title and I paste some text. I can define that it's going to be bold and increase the text size if I'd like to. After that, I'll paste some more content in here, and I click enter, and in here I can drag and drop an image. You can see that it loads, and I can set the alignment. I want this to be here in the right side. Just removing some white space up here. And you can see that the blue small bullets here, those are draggable. So I can drag the image to be slightly smaller, and we can add a caption below that image. A small short description. Okay, so below that. And also interesting here, I can set my marker in the end of a paragraph, hit enter, and then start with a forward-leaning slash. That triggers an autocomplete search for the Gutenberg blocks I have. So when I start typing gallery, I can hit enter, and then I get the gallery block. So here I just select a few images from my media library. I then hit select in the end, and you can see that it's formatted like a nice library. I can move images back and forth. And I can set the number of columns I want from my gallery on this article. Taking it back to 2 columns if I want, or even 1 column if I want to have that. That's going to be a bit large for my purpose here, so I'm pulling it back to 4. Okay, that was a small gallery. Now, I'm typing some text, and what's also interesting here, and a nice feature with Gutenberg, is that I'm able to, after I've written the text, I can convert it to a different kind of block. So I'm going to transform this into a quote block. And you see that I keep my text, but I get the quote styling as I go. That's a nice feature. Now, let's see what else I can do. I can drag and drop my block here. And I can also use the arrows to move this specific block up and down on my article here. Okay, that was a short introduction. Let's go slightly deeper and look at some more advanced stuff I can use to build out landing pages or articles. Okay, so it's going to be a bit more complex, but I'm going to start now by adding some columns. I can choose a layout for the columns that I'm adding here. I'm going to go for this 2-column with a slightly wider left column. I hit the plus there, and I add a paragraph, and I'm just going to copy paste some text from up here, paste that into my first column like this. I hit the plus for my right column, and yeah, in this one I'm going to add a new quote. Here we have it. Let's type something here. Yeah, nice column. And who's saying this? Well, I think Marco should be saying that, our lead Drupal Gutenberg developer. Yes. So right above that, I want to add an image. So I hit the plus button for that. Go to my media library and find an image. This is not really Marco. It doesn't look like this, but you know, it's a random image. We'll use it. And I can do the same adjustments if I want to. Below here, I want to add some contact information for Marco, his telephone number. It's not legit, so no point trying to call him. Fake test email address down here. And maybe I want to give that paragraph some color settings. I set a background color. Notice how I automatically get a new text color also, just to make sure that we have the kind of contrast that we need. I can override the text color if I want to by going down here, but I'm gonna turn that off for now. Okay, so my left column, it looks a bit weak, so let's just copy paste some of my text here. Just duplicate that for the demo purpose. Yeah, and then I can, if I want to, drag and drop my column width, as you see demoed here right now. All right. So now I have a quite nice long read article with some different Gutenberg blocks, as we call them. And well, how would that look in a traditional Drupal setup? Well, we're all quite used to the kind of view that we're seeing here. What we're seeing in this GIF is content type, a rather advanced content type. It's field heavy. It has a lot of design options and variations. Down there in the bottom, you could see that blue save button, which is called lagre in Norwegian. But you can see that it's quite a long way to get down to that button. Lots of fields, and you have no idea how this front end looks like. So let's look at where we want to go. We want to go from this into something that looks a bit more like this. You can see that there is a hero banner here in the top. I can go straight into that. I can move my background focal point. You can see that it updates on the fly. I can set an overlay color and decide how what kind of opacity that should have. And of course, I can go in here and write and change the content right away. Quite nice. Now let's look at another example. Okay. We have 3 columns. They all have a thumbs up in the top. Now let's look at how we could build something like that with only the Gutenberg core blocks. Okay. I start by adding a columns block. Then I choose 3 columns there. And then I start pasting an icon and some text and a button into that. Now I can just copy that starting point and just paste that into my different columns. After that, I can set my background color for these columns. And these colors are fetched straight from the Drupal theme to make sure that they work well with the rest of the design. But notice how easily it is to break this design. So our first solution to that could be to create a custom Gutenberg block that uses this same sub-blocks that I showed here, but lock their positions into place. Well, that will help us to have the styling just as we want to. But the thing is that currently our client can still add a bunch of stuff into these columns that does not really make sense in this scenario. They could set the text colors as they want. They could add all kinds of images, not just the icons that we want to show here. And they could do all kinds of things, and we don't want that. So here's what we did instead. We created a custom block with 3 columns, and we used the icon set that the client already had in their library. And then we made some color templates. In that way, they are only able to do changes to the columns according to their own design manual. And that's very useful. Okay, so with that introduction, can you trust Drupal Gutenberg? Can you start using it? Is it maintained? Will it be maintained in the future? Are people using it? The answer is yes. The editor is already being used and improved by millions of websites already. And this is mostly because it comes from the WordPress community initially. But you know, all the features and functionalities can still be used and even improved on Drupal sites if needed. Okay, so Paweł, now let's have a look at how we get going using this. You can show us some examples of where to get started, maybe, and how to install the module.
Yeah, okay. So we can see that Drupal allows us to edit content dynamically, which means that we immediately see the result of our actions on the edition page. But after all, it all becomes a static HTML after saving it to the database. But we can also have dynamic blocks not only within the editor, but also on the front of our page. How to achieve that? We can use Drupal core blocks, such as view module block, just like a regular Gutenberg block. The only difference being that instead of static HTML, we get a dynamic content. For example, we can have a list of the most recent articles. Sounds interesting, huh? So let me show you on the video how to create that. So we will create a Gutenberg block with a dynamic list of articles. In our example, let it be the most recent articles, and we will add this to our front page. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's do this. Yes, so as Thor said, first of all, we need to make sure that we have Gutenberg editor enabled. We can do this, for example, here on the extend admin page. And when we see it on the list, we need to create a view with our recent articles. I've already prepared mine. I call it simply recent articles. And I set this to display 8 items in the form of teasers. You must only remember to set display type as a block. Thanks to this, Gutenberg will have access to our view. Yeah. Once we've done all the things here, we need to enable Gutenberg for our content type. In our case, it is a basic page. So let's click Edit. Yep, and here we need to have a new section, Gutenberg experience, when we can enable Gutenberg for our content type. Now we have additional settings like template field, but we will get back to this later. Then allow Gutenberg blocks, when we can enable or disable blocks for our content type, and at least allow Drupal blocks. Here we can add our new dynamic block, recent articles. Okay, we can save. And now we can edit our front page. Yes, it is empty for now, but we'll add our new dynamic block. It should be under Drupal block category. Yay, and guys, lo and behold, we have our dynamic list here.
Yay.
Let's see how it looks on the front. Yeah, great, just like we expected. They are here. But let's check if the list is truly dynamic. Let's delete the first article and see what will happen. Yeah, we approve. And look, the article disappeared, and the next entry jumped into its position.
Oh,
Yeah.
Isn't that great?
Yeah, now I'd like to show you something more. I prepared one more dynamic block. It also displays articles. Yeah, so it looks pretty the same as our previous one, but here we have more magic. We have additional settings. We can set the offset to our list, so we can skip some articles at the beginning of the list. And look, while I'm increasing the value, the block is immediately updates. We can also place something in between. Let's say it will be some text block. Yep. Maybe the bigger one. Okay. And let's set our articles to display entries from 9 to 12. And look, now we have 8 articles, then there's some text in between, and we continue list. So we have 12 articles with no duplicates. Yeah, looks fantastic. Yeah, but you must know that configurable Drupal blocks are still under development, but I was very happy that I could show you that simple example right now. So, Thor, I'm passing you the ball.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so it's easy to see that these kind of listings could be very relevant for other use cases. In this example here, you can see that you could, of course, do that also with events or all kinds of content. But then again, some of you might be thinking, why do you need Gutenberg for this? I mean, couldn't we do the same kind of work only with views and templates or even page builders like paragraphs or layout builder? Sure, but remember, the people that should spend most time in Drupal on your website are the actual content creators, the authors. So this is why we started doing this kind of work. You cannot force people to do an excellent job. They gotta love it, you know. And what we usually do then is that we provide a nice work area, a nice culture, some nice colleagues and tools. And basically we create an ambience that is an excellent place to grow and to focus. And this is also what we're doing with Drupal Gutenberg. For clients, organizations, companies that have high ambitions, if they want to be winners and stand out as that, they have to provide the right working area and ambience for the people. doing this work. And that's actually what we experience when we introduce the Gutenberg editor. Some people that has worked with CMSs for years, they can seem skeptic at first. But what we see with people that are new to CMSs are reactions like, we want this now. Drupal needs this. Things evolve. Wow, this is excellent. And it could be related to the small details with Gutenberg. You know, we don't have time to go through everything, but it's small things that normally you have to skip when you do priorities in a web project. For example, a simple details like being able to go into a landing page or a long read article and select, copy half of it and mix that in together with other content. You know, it's detailed, but it's a very nice feature when you see it. And of course, with Gutenberg, since it's actually most of the content there is stored in the body field, it's unbeatable performance. It's very fast to deliver, and it's very easily cacheable. So what does that mean for you? I'm just guessing. I can't even see your faces, but I'm guessing that there are a lot of developers in the rooms. You know, raise your hand. No. I mean, yeah. So if you want to stand out as winners in your area or with your organization, you'll have to do something about the ambition. As a developer or an agency, when will your web project be a success? Is it when A, the job is done, the site is launched according to your specification? Or is it B, when you get feedback 3 months later, like, wow, this is so great for our organization. You know, people are so effective now. Instead of spending time in manuals and training, now we can do what we really want, to create great content for our website and our target groups. Yeah, and of course, the end result of that is that you'll be asked for more work in the future, and you'll basically make more money, and the client is happy. It's a win-win situation. But to do that, you need to dig into it. You need to learn the tech behind it. And Paweł, you showed us how to work with the dynamic content earlier. We've seen how flexible Gutenberg can be. Can you show us how to not make it as flexible? You know, sometimes we need clear limits and boundaries for people to work with content.
Yeah, exactly. So let's say that our site has a blog with articles, blog with many articles, blog with many articles, published by multiple authors. We want these authors to make their content easily and intuitively. We want them to have a lot of freedom with this. So isn't the perfect place to use Gutenberg editor? Yes, of course it is. So let's play the role of our author. Let's see how the example article should look like. So at the top, we have some feature image, some title, and article content. It all looks like it could be Gutenberg blocks, right? Yeah. But is it too much freedom, actually? We need to have a consistent structure of article. We need to look articles pretty much the same. But we cannot predict if people will remember to use appropriate blocks in the right order. So wouldn't it be great if we could give them a hint how to create the content, or even better yet, provide them a guide or template of the blocks that they could use? Actually, you are able to do that with Gutenberg. You can set an initial block structure so that our authors will easily see where to start when creating their articles. We call this page templates. So let's see how it works in practice. Let's say we have 3 elements that the author must complete each time: a feature paragraph, feature image, a leading paragraph, and article content. So let's try to recreate this structure with a page template. How to do that? We need to get to our Gutenberg experience settings, but this time for article content type. In the template field that we already seen, we will define our page template. It is configured by placing the names and attributes of the Gutenberg blocks in the template field between the square brackets. The name of the blocks and its attributes are also placed between that kind of brackets, so we have a 2-dimensional array structure. Okay, let's look at this a little bit deeper. So we need to set our feature image, and it will be our core image Gutenberg block. The ID here is the name of the block. The names of the Gutenberg core blocks that you can use will be available in Drupal Gutenberg module documentation. Okay, now leading paragraph. Let it be just a regular paragraph block. Apart from the name, we can optionally set the initial values for the attributes available for a given block, such as placeholder for paragraph block input field. And now the content. Here we need to use a special Drupal section block. Thanks to this, we will be able to add more blocks in the editor in this place. We can also protect our page template against modification in the editor. We can completely disallow making changes to the template by selecting all, or allow only the change of the order of blocks by selecting insert. Okay, it's everything here. So let's create our new article with page template. So we added a new article, and look, we see the blocks that we defined in our page template. So we immediately see what to fill. So let's do this. The picture, the leading paragraph, and some text. This is our Drupal section block.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, we can correct that. Let's be heading, some text, and the title on the end.
Looking good.
Yeah, so far.
Yeah.
Okay, let's look at the front. Okay, at first glance, it looks fine. But have a look. The picture is in wrong position. It should be over here, above the title and author, and also leading paragraph. It's not in bold. So what has happened? Okay, let's back edit then. Yeah, right. In fact, we added our blocks in the place of article content. Title and author are Drupal fields, and they have separated place in Tweak template. Now I need to tell you a secret. Our picture and leading paragraph are also Drupal fields, and they have their settings here. Okay, what's now? Seems that we just cannot put blocks anywhere, right? Yeah, well, yes, but you might guess that it's not all what I wanted to tell you. So why did we create that page template? Because we need that to take advantage of a next great feature that Gutenberg offers, field mapping.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So now we look at how we can define a template, a fixed layout for our content. But remember, Gutenberg usually saves it all data in the body field. But now let's look how we can use that content to pre-fill Drupal field. Yes, exactly. We can use Gutenberg block to edit Drupal field. How does it work? We need to get back to our page template again, because this is where all the magic happens. To assign a template block to appropriate fields, let's add special attribute, mapping fields. The attribute consists of the key mapping fields and the value in the form RI. In our case, we need to add only a machine key of our Drupal field to paragraph block, because text blocks needs only this. And to set image, we need to add also special property, target ID, and assign this to attribute ID of the core image Gutenberg block. Yep, this notation may seem confusing, but after a while, you will quickly notice that this is just simple JSON notation. And in most cases, it looks exactly like in this example. So let's create our article again.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, okay, we have the same things. So we need to fill them up. Yep, leading paragraph. Let me just copy paste to make this long story short. Yep, some content. Okay, and the title. All right, and look, everything is on its position now.
Phew.
Yeah, 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 there. Yeah, we put a little extra effort into the setup, but I think it was worth it. Those who will use our product will definitely appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Paweł. Great work. Okay, so now, yeah, where should we go from here? I mean, we could talk about this for a long, long time, but you know, we have our available time. So let's look at how we could go from here. Well, we've already mentioned that well, the Drupal Gutenberg regime, it requires some depth knowledge. You have to get into it, spend some time on it. And how could you do that as effective as possible? Well, we in FrontCom, we're currently working on a kind of onboarding program for developers like yourself, where we are doing training sessions. We could do follow-up meetings and Slack support. And we could even help out with your projects, doing code review with our developers and so on. The typical onboarding sessions could be, you know, a general introduction, the starting point of what we've seen here today, and then we go deeper from there. You would learn a different anatomy of blocks. We dig into how it's set up. We help you plan your blocks, make your own first custom block. And then we could go into advanced block development and things like Paweł showed here, the actual development that is in the power of mapping fields and so on. We could give you some pro tips and do real-world workshops. So reach out to any one of us or Frontcom generally if you're interested in that, or your company might be interested in investing in that. Also, just want to show you quickly there in the end another version of what we demoed earlier. In this case here, it's a custom Gutenberg block. It's a hero banner block, as we showed earlier. But you can see that the options are slightly different. There is a couple of variations for background images here. We have styling options to move the text block from the center to left and right. And then you can see, of course, that you can go in there and edit that text on the fly within the design, more or less. And then you can even add an external Vimeo video to that. And it actually loads the Vimeo video on the fly while I still work on that content. Now, pretty mind blown. That helicopter, that's your mind right now. And even if I replace the video ID, it initially starts to load the new video again. So it's pretty interesting, the kind of experience you could give your authors in that way. Now we're about to sum up here. Feel free to add some questions here in the chat. While waiting for that, we can go through some frequently asked questions that we've been asked on other Drupal camps and so on earlier. So what kind of sites would you recommend Gutenberg for? Well, typically large sites with lots of content editors and content. The situations where you want people to work effectively and fast, and that when that has a clear return on investment. Does it provide too much flexibility? Well, in the demo I showed earlier today, when just using core blocks and you nest your blocks and so on, then yes. But in real life, on real projects, no. This is actually the place where we can do something about that flexibility on the right level. So some of the kinds of things that Paweł demoed here with field mappings and so on. Can you use it with workflows? People ask. We say yes. Can you use it with other modules, or must everything be rebuilt? Well, it generally works with more other modules than with the other solutions out there, is our experience. Is it secure? Yeah, it's just as secure as Drupal itself. And what about performance? It's easily cacheable. It's few database requests. And if you're using cloud blocks, which we covered in our session last year, you even get Cloudflare CDN out of the box, serving faster data than most sites out there. So yeah, that's about it. If you have other questions, please shoot. We have 4 minutes for that. And of course, feel free also to reach out directly to me or Paweł. You can see our email addresses. Any plugins, you ask? Well, good questions. We have been working on using an editor's kit, which is, I think it's listed at experimental still. We're also working on a starter theme to go with the module, so that you could get kickstarted and see how to get up and running with proper styling. Of course, the really interesting part here is that you could basically use all of the Gutenberg blocks. You could import libraries even from the WordPress community. And the listing there is huge. So, and basically those custom blocks is something that's very easily shareable. You could even use the same blocks across Drupal and WordPress sites, for example. And yeah, sure. You could definitely add a web form into a block. Just like we saw here, you would have to create a custom block for that. But you can basically do anything. We have even handled integration straight through our blocks, so that we, for example, are using if you have a DAM system, like a digital asset management system, like for media houses and so on, they might have videos and images in a separate system. You could integrate that straight into the blocks, so you get the media on the fly there. Yeah.
Yeah. And if it comes to block page templates, there is a drop-down just underneath the template field in editor, where you can block either delete and inserting any of the blocks in the page template, or only block to inserting or deleting just separated blocks, so the user can only change the order of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that question up there, that's true. Okay. Any other questions?
Yep, the 1 minute left.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Anyway, thank you all for listening. You have a few seconds now to type in that last question. And if not, hope to see you on the Drupal Camp next year, or maybe even on Drupal Camp Oslo in Norway, just happening in a couple of weeks from now. Recommend it. It's going to be in English as well. So that's actually great.
It should be in Polish, I think.
Yeah. Polish would be great, but my Polish is terrible, so wouldn't be much for me to get there. Okay. Thank you.